In the Hearts and Minds, Book 0, The Birth of a Hero. Story 25. In the Hearts and Minds, continued. Iago stared straight ahead, at the cat on the cow, at 3 of his very young cousins slinging mud at one another, squealing and shrieking like they hadn't watched their home burn to the ground 3 months ago. He wasn't seeing any of it. Iago's gaze was so far away, Pinata couldn't reach him there. "They keep finding us," Iago said. "It's one thing to open someone's mail and intercept it before it can go anywhere. We had bluesies stationed in every direction, and we were still caught unaware. The ghosts can't be everywhere all at once, and it takes time for them to report in, but maybe everything is all just one big coincidence." "You don't think so?" Pinata asked, but it wasn't a question. She didn't think so either. "I need to know how they keep finding us," Iago said slowly. At last he turned to her, hunched over himself. His palms were pressed flat together. He could do that now that Rowley had made itself like a flat sleeve. Pinata still remembered how spiky and large it had grown. How fast could it pop back into place? How fast was Iago able to mobilize his plants for war? Probably faster than Pinata could utilize their bluesies. "There's a meeting," he said slowly, "happening in Tuca, the largest of the Cane Isles." Pinata gasped. "Now!" she repeated. "Right now!" Iago didn't respond fast enough. Pinata's hands found his arm. Dolphin was wrapped around her now, not him, but when the 3 of them met, there was a singing connection. Iago couldn't leave. They belonged together. Pinata could not do this without him. It wasn't fear. It was a certainty. "I thought you wanted this baby," she said softly. Iago's face twisted before he could hide it, and Pinata felt as if the world beneath her had given way. She should be used to this feeling by now. She should be naughty. Iago's hands were on her now. He never pulled her. He always just gravitated. Naughty. Pinata couldn't feel him. She couldn't feel him right there. And what was this about their baby? After all this time? Was he just looking for the moment to leave? Was he naughty? Iago said firmly. Pinata's neck craned up, meeting his wide-eyed gaze. "Of course I did. Do. It's just..." Pinata didn't move, but she granted him time to align his thoughts with his words. She knew he felt frustrated. She knew he struggled to speak when he was emotional. "It's not about the baby," he finally landed on, exhaling roughly. "It's about the world. I can't. I do not want this world." Pinata let out a weak laugh. It was too ridiculous. Dolphin nuzzled closer to Rowley, to Iago, and Iago's chin bumped the top of her head softly. "You want to change the whole entire world?" Pinata scoffed, but she was smiling. The smile was like a raw cut, seeping blood at every quiver. The ground beneath her still swayed, and she could distinctively feel her heart beating in her ears. She was almost to the point of dizziness, but what was underneath she couldn't say. Relief, confusion, frustration, sadness, fear, more and more fear. Iago's face was very red as he let go, clearing his throat. He threw several strands of hair out of his face, though they escaped to dance in his eyelashes instead. "I've been thinking a lot about Flora," he said. Pinata's eyes closed. Me too. All these years, flavors around the world used information to win over the public. The mission believed that logic and reasoning could outlast any propaganda. All those later missions, disrupting military circuits, was an act of desperation. In a way, we really did become like terrorists. Pinata's eyes opened to see a new Iago, one with longer hair and the faint scratchiness of one who was beginning to grow a beard, one who'd put overalls on because there was nothing else, one whose power was shield and storm. He looked so impossibly brave, this silly boy she'd always loved. Just like Pinata, he'd ended up in this mess quite by accident. Sometimes anger has the power to control you. It can control how you see the world and the way you begin to treat it. Anger, though at times necessary, does not make a world worth living in. The time for anger and rage and hopelessness was over. That was never the answer. Flora was the one who knew that first. Freedom in information allows people to choose what to believe, Iago continued. A crinkle set deep in his brow. It offers other sides, other opinions, but we can't win an information war because the people are being told that they have the power to choose already. It's just that they're only being offered propaganda and calling it truth. And all of the reporters who write differently end up gone. Pinata saw in her peripheral vision the return of the bluesies. En masse, they could almost take out the sun if they had been in the sky. As it was, they covered Biscuit and the cow from sight. People aren't going to change their minds about something they've read in the paper. Not after all this time. They'll never actively choose to question. Why would they? Loyalty to them is something without question. And loyalty allows them to live the best they can. No article is worth upsetting that. Within the bluesies, Pinata glimpsed people. She saw her doctor, Iago's aunt, as well as his father, Iago's uncles, many of his cousins. They mixed with the bluesies, creating a wall of blue, yes, but also a wall of the living. Pinata had never seen anything like it. If we are going to change the world. Pinata didn't think he'd notice their audience. She wasn't sure if he remembered he was talking to her, or if he was lost in a world inside his head. Perhaps he was talking to Flora. But suddenly he looked up, and his eyes were clear. If we are going to change the world, it's the people who must change, he said. They can't be fed information and believe it a choice. They must be shown a different way. They must be shown that loyalty is not blind and choice is not one way. Pinata was almost afraid to interrupt. How do you change people? Iago shook his head slowly at the impossibility of it all, but he answered right away. We have to change their hearts and minds. What? Pinata wet her lips, swallowing past a sudden burning in her throat and in her eyes. What does that? Iago stared at her. Family. A tear fell from the corner of her eye as he continued. We need to show the world who they fear so much. We need to show them they are wrong. They must know our story. Who will listen? Iago shook his head. We'll make a world out of family. plays, music, books, stories. Truvia can try to outlaw them, but they'll never get them all. You can't really stop art as easily as you can control the news. Iago gave a roguish kind of grin. Nobody can control the power of stories. Little by little, it will make a difference. You must grow empathy. You must keep trying to reach people who choose to stay in darkness. You must come prepared with an army of candles, an army of lanterns. You must point to the light again and again and show them that there is more to light than there is to dark. Why stay in the dark? Why choose darkness? Do you have to do this now? Pinata cried, but she shoved it down. Iago calmed himself with a breath. And though he would never understand, it was this moment of uncertainty, of fear and bravery and acceptance of his radical ideologies that moved the Bluesies and the family that watched him. They believed in him. Pinata had always believed in him. "When will you be back?" she asked instead, and Iago suddenly looked ill. "We have 8 weeks until the baby's due. Everything that was a coincidence. Until I know how we can be safe, how to evade them, I must find out." "You will let them find you?" Iago's roguish smile turned into a shadow. "I hope it doesn't go that far." "Why now?" Pinata wanted to rage at him. "Why right now?" Naughty. For a moment, Pinata thought he would answer the question she kept thinking. She thought he had finally read her mind, read what she had been internally screaming at him this entire time. "The safest place for you is with my aunt," he said, and she hated that she had to accept that. I can't take you with me this time. I hope you understand. Your safety is my main priority. I have to do this." "Please don't leave. Please don't leave. Please don't." 2 days later, Iago left with a lone pack slung over his shoulder.